Good morning, everyone. We will call our meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. this morning. In the true spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge all those who call this land home now and for thousands of years in the past. May we respect each other and find understanding together and recognize the benefits this land provides to all of us. If we look ahead to our agenda, we have a couple of time commitments this morning. We have a 9:15 a.m. delegation, as well as we have two public hearings scheduled for today. Previously 3, but we have 2 public hearings scheduled for today to start at 10 a.m. Other than that, we can move down to our agenda. Are there any proposed additions, deletions, anything arising from the proposed agenda? John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wonder if we could put a slot in for J1 for attendance at Alberta Municipality discussion.
Okay. Are there any other additions, deletions proposed to the agenda? John?
I'd like to move to adopt the agenda as amended.
John has moved to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Councillor Van Essen was chairing the Pitcher Butte Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning, so he will be a few minutes late, but he will be joining us shortly. Why don't we move down in our agendas to subdivision applications, item E. We have 2 subdivision applications scheduled for this morning. Our first one, subdivision application 2026-0-056. Well, why don't we do that first too, eh? Thank you. We could adopt the minutes if we could. Item C, county council meetings. Before you have the meeting minutes of May 21st, 2026. Are there any errors, omissions, anything arising from the minutes? Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning. I'd like to move the adoption of the council meeting minutes of May 21st, 2026.
I love how polite everyone is, just whispering at me. Thank you. You can yell at me, it's fine. Mark has moved for the adoption of the county council meeting minutes May 21st, 2026. Is there any discussion? Call a question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Now we can move down to our subdivision applications. Item 1. Good morning, Kaylin. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning, Council. So the first subdivision application that you're hearing before you today is 2026-0-056. It's located within the northwest quarter 341020 west of the 4th. It is exactly 6 miles east of the town of Picture Butte, immediately south of Highway 519, and about a half mile west of 845. So I'll just pull up the map here with the aerial. The proposal before you is to subdivide an 8.32 acre parcel which is the farmstead, out of the quarter section, and this is the first title out of the quarter. And with that, I'll pass it to Steve for recommendations.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this application is for subdivision out of the quarter section. As you can see from the configuration, there is a bit of a spread out yard there with buildings, a bit of a tree shelter belt and stuff. There's an older original dwelling on there, along with the newer dwelling. A couple things with this application. It is along Highway 519 there. They do have access kind of at the east end of the parcel, right directly to the highway, and as well there's one on the west side of that to the county municipal road allowance. Alberta Transportation is okay with that. It can remain as it is. They have no concerns and granted an authorization of it. The other thing with this application is there are several confined feeding operations located just to the west of this. There's about 3 within the mile or so. We confirmed the permit numbers and the livestock with the NRCB, so it does meet and exceed all the applicable minimum distance separation to any of those livestock operations to the west there. So with this, the application, all the servicing, the septic itself will be within the parcel. It does conform to the policies. There was no objections received on the application or concerns. So we have recommended an approval to you there as per your draft resolution. One of the things that the applicant will just have to deal with is that it is, because just north of the Old Man River there and on the coulees, it is flagged by Alberta Historical Resources for potential historical resources. We haven't heard back yet on this particular application from them to grant the waiver, so the applicant will just have to do that here as part of a condition of the subdivision approval. So that it is number 4 condition on the draft in front of you. So recommendation is to approve as presented with taxes paid up to date, development agreement if the county requires it, final plan of survey based on your approval, and the Alberta Culture regarding the Historical Resources Act.
Thank you, Steve. I would open it up to council for any questions or discussion you might have. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Seems like a very straightforward subdivision that fits very well into our land use bylaw, so I would like to move that subdivision application 2026-0-056 be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in the draft resolution.
Thank you, John. John has moved the recommendation the subdivision application 2026-0-056 be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in the draft resolution. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Our second subdivision application, 2026-0-057. Kaylin?
Thank you, Council. So subdivision application 2026-0-057 is located within the Northwest Quarter 24-922 west of the 4th. It is Lot 1, Block 1, Plan 931-2354. I'll just pull up the location map for you. So it is directly 2.5 miles east of the town of Colehurst, 1.25 miles east of Highway 25, and 1/4 mile west of the Old Man River and the city of Lethbridge boundary. The proposal before you today is to subdivide the 10.47 acre title and create 3 lots varying in size from 3 to 4.3 acres in size. These parcels were previously rezoned to group country residential. And with that, I'll pass it on to Steve for recommendations.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, on this application, council is familiar with it because you just dealt with the rezoning on it recently. That corresponded with the subdivision application and a lot of the at the rezoning stage and in some past subdivision that was done in the area. The geotechnical and that sort of stuff was previously provided. This application is to do the 3 lots in accordance with that rezoning. This application, if you do recall, it is within the IDP area with the city. It aligns with the IDP policies that the county could consider such. We did receive, since the application package came out to you, comments from the city. We didn't have them previous, but the city does have no objections to the proposal as presented and in accordance with the rezoning. Since the application has gone out, we also heard back now from the LNID, who has no concerns or objections, and ATCO Gas and ATCO Pipelines as well. One of the things on the application here is from ATCO Pipelines, they did say that there used to be a high-pressure gas line that used to feed the batch plant. So it just kind of comes to the west of the property line between Lot 2 and 3 there. So it's just something the applicants will have to pay attention to at the development stage, because instead of being the typical 20 feet back from the property line that the county's bylaw requires, they'll have to be about 50 feet back or so. But that is in the northeast corner, likely where there won't be development anyways with the setbacks and the roads and that sort of a thing, so it really shouldn't be too much of an issue. Other than that, there have been no other objections or concerns received on the application. It is in accordance with the rezoning and the plan that was provided to the county at that time. One of the things on this application to note of is that there will be the municipal reserve payment applicable to the county. There is a deferred reserve caveat on title that once that's paid, we'll discharge that off there. The value approximately would be $49,209 on that MR payment. So with the provision of that, the other conditions are the taxes, a development agreement entered into with the county. They will have to do a soils analysis. It wasn't done at the rezoning stage for the 3 lots there. And the final plan of survey. And that fifth was referring to the utility company easements, because we didn't have everything back when I had sent it over for the agenda report. But with that, it does conform to the group country residential criteria and to the IDP policies as well. So the recommendation is to approve as that presented there in front of you with the reserve payment and those 5 conditions.
Thank you, Steve. I would open up to council for any questions or discussion. Go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How far away from the highway is this?
Is that 1 mile?
Thank you, Councilor Lauren, through the chair. So it's 1.25 miles east of Highway 25 and 1/4 mile, west of Olney River. So it's about a mile and a little bit from Highway 25. So if I go back to the location map for
Yeah.
you, so the highway is right here, so this would be the 1.25 miles.
Was that the old gravel site at one time?
Yeah, there's a batch plant there.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move that subdivision application 2026-0-057 be approved, subject to the condition as outlined in the draft resolution.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin has moved the recommendation that subdivision application 2026-0-057 be approved subject to conditions as outlined in the draft resolution. Is there any further discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Apparently a little out of focus.
Why don't we go down to item B, our delegation, and welcome our friends from the Chinook Library System. Robin, the floor is yours.
Scroll down for your stuff. Yeah. Read what we're reading.
Ooh, visual aids. Cool.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and Council, for your time this morning. I'm Robin Hephner, not Hephner, as your package states. People like to put an N in there. I'm not sure why. Is there a famous person named Hephner? I'm not sure. Anyway.
Sorry, that's my bad.
No, not at all. It happens all the time, so I'm pretty used to it. I think people don't like saying heifer because it sounds very, agricultural or whatever. It's like, but anyway, so I get all kinds of variations. No worries. So yeah, I'm the CEO of Chinook Regional Library System, which is a library service organization of which you are a part. I'm joined by Dothan McFarlane, whom many of you probably have had interactions with in her former capacity as the library manager at Coaldale, so which is one of the libraries that this council supports. Our purpose this morning is just purely informational. After every municipal election, we like to come out and visit all of our member councils, of which there are 40, and just let you know, especially for new councilors, what Chinook is and why you invest in this particular service. And yeah, kind of what we've been up to over the last 4 years or so since our last visit. So if you have any questions at any time, feel free to flag me down. We're happy to address any questions you might have. Oh. Dothan's gonna do the slides for me which might be tricky because I tend to go off script. But anyway, we'll do our best to keep it in order here. So Lethbridge County, of course, does not operate a library board, but nevertheless, you do invest in public library services by being a member of Chinook. We have known in the library world that public libraries are some of the best money you can invest in your community in terms of your constituents, your residents who want access to these types of services. And it was nice to have that confirmed. In 2024, a study was released. It was a Canada-wide study called Overdue, And if you're interested in checking it out, basically what they did is they did a really in-depth analysis on the actual economic impact that libraries have on communities. And they discovered that for every dollar invested in a community, in public libraries, there's a $6 return in economic and social benefits. So definitely one of the best public dollars that you can spend for your residents. So Chinook, what it is fundamentally is a framework for intermunicipal collaboration on library services. And you can sort of see our catchment area, so sort of southwestern corner of Alberta. There are 40 municipalities in this area, and all of them belong to Chinook. So we have what we call system completion. And yeah, so it's basically what it is. It's an agreement. We are formed by an agreement between you as a municipality and your neighbors. And the idea is that by working together, we can do things more efficiently and raise the level of library service in all communities. And for municipalities such as County Lethbridge, that doesn't operate a library board, having the system actually provides you as a council a mechanism for your residents to access library services through a library in a neighboring municipality. So what happens is we receive a fee from you, and we match that to a provincial grant for the population of Lethbridge County, and then we redistribute that to the libraries that you have supported through an agreement with Chinook. So those funds go to Coaldale and Picture Butte. So that means that your residents have access to library services in those communities, even though there isn't direct tax-based support for that. So otherwise, there would be no obligation for the town of Coaldale or Picture Butte to provide library services to Lethbridge County residents. But Chinook makes that happen for you. So we are considered a public library board under the Libraries Act and Regulation. It's a one-member, one-vote model, so we do have a pretty large board that meets 3 times a year. Member councils appoint someone to our board. Often it is a municipal councillor. Reeve Campbell has been our appointee for many years, and it is currently Councillor Slomp who is our appointee. So it's been great working with both of you. You've each been active and sitting on committees and things like that, so which we greatly appreciate. Earlier I made reference to the agreement that forms the system. One of the things in that agreement is it lays out the role of the system in terms of the library service and the role of the local library board. So who is responsible for which aspect of the service. Because it's drawn very broadly, we tend to flesh it out by doing a periodic needs assessment. So we'll go in, talk to our member libraries in particular, member councils, and say, what needs are you seeing in your community and how can we satisfy those needs over the next 4 years? So out of that needs assessment, we develop a plan of service, and you've got a copy of our current plan of service in the packages that we've handed out there. So that's what guides our resources. That's what informs the development of our annual. Actually, we do a 4-year budget cycle that coincides with the planning cycle as well. So, in terms of services that we provide at Chinook, we tend to focus on sort of more support services, kind of behind the scenes, and especially ones where it makes sense to collaborate or to centralize the services, reduce duplication of effort, and increase efficiency. One of the biggest ones is bibliographic services. Bibliographic services being sort of a library jargon word for anything having to do with materials that you would find on the library shelf. So books, DVDs, all kinds of things libraries are lending these days. So if a librarian in Coaldale or Picture Butte, for instance, wanted a book for the shelf, rather than her having to, find a vendor, maintain the vendor relationship, handle all of the billing and all that kind of stuff, all she has to do is send Chinook a list of books that she would like for the shelf, and we do all the ordering, we handle all of that stuff, all the vendor relationships, and then the materials come to Chinook, we add it to the catalog so that the public can find it, put the stickers on it, barcodes and things like that, and then we send it out to the library. And what that does is it frees up your local librarian staff to focus on serving the public rather than sitting in the back room doing that kind of busy work. So we also provide a book allotment to communities with a library board. So every library board has funds to spend in proportion to their population. So part of the membership fee comes back in a cash transfer that helps that they are required to spend on library materials. And that helps to ensure that the collection keeps growing and that there's always new materials being added. IT services, so we have a pretty robust IT infrastructure. We do provide a lot of services to the libraries over the SuperNet, which is a digital high bandwidth fiber optic backbone that was put in a number of years ago, connects all public buildings in Alberta, including libraries. We use that service very heavily to provide all kinds of different IT-related services. So we're the website host for the libraries. We are the internet service provider for the libraries, so that means that each individual library board doesn't have to go out and develop a relationship with Rogers or TELUS or what have you. We provide the internet. We email, all the threat protection, firewalls. We've branched out into providing telephone services to the libraries, which has been great because we can do it on a cost recovery basis, which means that a library like Clarisholme, for instance, which used to pay $250 a month for a telephone, now pays us $20 a month on a cost recovery basis. So that collectively has saved the member libraries about $20,000 a year just by not having to use the major telcos. In smaller communities, it's often difficult to find staff that have prior library experience or training. So we have librarians on staff, and their whole job is just to support member library staff in any aspect of library operations, whether it's planning, policy development, collection development, program development, delivering programs, working with the boards, any aspect really of library service. We have sort of almost a hotline they can call and ask the questions, and we're there to assist them. This day and age, a lot of people are choosing to read their books on devices, so laptop or tablet and that kind of thing, or listen to them on their phones and whatnot. So libraries want to be in that space as well, so we want to be able to provide those materials for people. So we do have downloadable ebooks and audiobooks, and I'm not sure if any of you folks have had a chance to try that stuff out, but you can get these items for free through your library with your library membership. And it's not just ebooks and audiobooks, but there's online courses, language learning software, streaming video, a really rich suite of resources that are available on your local library website or through the Chinook Arch website. We also recently subscribed to the Athletic, which is a New York Times sports. I'm not sure if you're into sports and stuff, but kind of like a really high quality sports analysis portal that you can access for free through the library. Delivery, so one of the main strengths of the system is it provides a mechanism for libraries to share the resources with each other. So rather than having access to just the books that are in your community, you can use other libraries as if it was your own library, or you can have materials delivered to your home library. So if the item you want is if you live in Coaldale, the item you want is in Fort Macleod, simply place a hold on it and our vans will deliver it to your home library. You can read it, return it there, and then we will deliver it back to the owning library. So in 2025, we moved almost 600,000 items from library to library. So there's a lot of stuff flying around the system. We have 2 delivery vans, 2 long wheelbase delivery vans that go out every weekday, and in the course of the week, we cover the system, every library getting at least 2 visits per week. So yeah. Just a quick note on budget. So our annual operating budget is about $4 million per year. The bulk of the revenue is from member library and member municipal fees. So that's the big chunk on the top pie chart there. We also get a provincial operating grant of about $1 million per year. And that's another incentive for forming and belonging to a library system is that it brings in a whole extra layer of granting from the provincial government to support library service delivery in this area. So, and if you are speaking with your local MLAs, this funding has not increased substantially in a number of years. We're still funded on 2019 populations, which are now obviously 7 years out of date, and so we start to feel the pressure from serving the growing populations with static provincial funding. So the funding is based on a per capita levy. So currently the levy is $776 for the municipal fee. So it's that times your population. In April, the board did approve a request to raise the levy to $8.17 per capita, which is where it was at prior to the pandemic. In the midst of the pandemic, the Chinook Arch Library Board drop the per capita fee down to $7.76 just because everyone was kind of feeling the strain. And so, however, in order for the change to the levy to come into effect, it has to be approved by 2/3 of member councils representing 2/3 of our total service population. So 27 councils representing about 130,000 people. Which means, of course, that the city of Lethbridge must approve the levy, otherwise we can't make the population quotient. It's looking at this time that they're not inclined to approve our levy request, so it's likely that going into 2027, your levy and all of the other member councils' levy will remain at $7.76 for at least one more year. So, is it, yes?
On that point, I guess obviously, just to speak freely, I guess,
Permission granted.
I would suggest that I would say that I'm obviously disappointed in the city, that they don't see the value in what Chinook Arch brings to the city of Lethbridge and everyone in Southern Alberta. I think being a former board member, and a person that went in maybe a little bit more skeptical, just not understanding the breadth of the services that you provide and how meaningful your services are to the people that need them. I think that was something that I really took away, is that the people that use your services and that use the services of our libraries are very passionate, and a lot of those people are in need and don't have the means to access either the internet, the materials to help their family, to become citizens, to learn a language, to get a job and contribute to our economy, to our society. So I think it can be underrated at times what you do and the services you provide, and just seeing that firsthand, I think it's remarkable what you do. It's not just simply a book for a person that likes to read books. Yes, there's the internet, there's a ton of other things, other ways to access that, but what you do matters. And yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't say I was disappointed that the city doesn't seem to want to come to the table in a meaningful way. Having said that, has there been discussions, or is there an appetite for the rest of the member municipalities to entertain an increase without the city moving in lockstep, or what would that look like? Has there been any discussion in that vein, Robin?
That has come up sort of at our committee tables, and also I've heard that question from a few other councils as well. And I think it's a good question. There isn't a mechanism for a differential fee. So I think the danger there, I mean, the system is really built on everyone contributing in an equal, at equal level. So if that starts to erode, even if it was a voluntary additional contribution on behalf of some, or most of the municipalities, I think it would start to create some tension that might, in the longer term, create more problems than it would solve, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So, yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like Lethbridge doesn't support Chinook Arch. I mean, they're responsible essentially for 50% of our overall revenue, and so we do, and they have the largest library. They contribute a great deal in terms of the collections and sharing and their expertise and things like that. So I don't want to sound ungrateful. I'm just trying to present facts that they don't seem inclined to approve the levy at this time.
No, and I apologize. I wouldn't want to put those words in your mouth either, Robin.
No, not at all.
I don't want to diminish the contribution they do make, because it obviously is extremely important to the benefit of all the residents, because everybody benefits within the system. Could you maybe just speak to, I guess, the hardship that you faced as far as constructing a budget, maintaining a budget, sticking to a budget, when we don't see annual increases to keep up with the hammer that is inflation and all the other pressures you're facing, and just, I guess, the tough situation that puts you and your board in moving forward. I think we want, we want to see you succeed, not just today, but into the future. And if we are not taking meaningful steps to plan for that future, to build for that future, what does that look like, in your opinion, for Chinook Arch?
Yeah, that's a great question too. Certainly in the last couple of years, we have seen the impact of inflation, and it has eaten away a little bit of some of our reserves. So we do have restricted funds, because every couple of years we have to purchase a new delivery van. So those vans have, in the last 4 years or so have gone from $30,000 to $65,000. So we've seen our reserves kind of get eaten away as we make those purchases. And same with IT infrastructure. Like, we have this robust IT infrastructure. 2 years ago, we did a major upgrade. It cost $150,000. We were able to get a CIP grant to pay for half of that. But basically, in our IT reserve, we have enough to do one more major upgrade, and then our reserves are used up for that. So, and because of our operating revenue has been static, because the levy has been static, and also because there's been no increase in the provincial operating grant, we haven't been able to contribute meaningfully to our reserves in the last few years. So we've always used them sort of in and out, and they tried to build them back up, but we haven't been able to build them back up. And so we're seeing them slowly decline. And it's definitely going to, I'd say by 2030, put us in a pretty difficult situation if we're not able to get some improved funding. We've also had to reduce our costs, so by the end of 2026, our staff complement will be lower by about 3 full-time equivalents. And we've been able to adapt by sort of reorganizing, changing processes, contracting things out a little bit. But I mean, our planning committee just the other day, we reviewed the plan of service and our goals for the 2026 plan of service, which you have in your package there. And there's just many things that we've just had to kind of like put a pin in because we're just not affordable at this time. So, you know, but the end of our plan of service, we should be looking at kind of near completion of most of those items. And there's several items on the list where we've just had to kind of put it on hold for now. So we haven't had to cut services really at this point, but over the next few years, if we're not able to secure, say, some increases for the 2028 through 2031 budget, we will, I think, have to start looking at what we need to cut. So it's always tricky to cut services because you're punishing the library patrons or you're punishing the municipalities, right, in some ways. So, but by the same token, you know, we do need to maintain reserves. Our funding comes in sporadically throughout the year. So the reserves kind of serve as a cash bank that we can draw on in between times when we haven't received our operating grant or we haven't received our member levies. So, you know, we kind of watch the bank balance going down and down and down, and then, okay, we get our operating grant and we're okay for a little while. But if we didn't have those reserves, we would maybe look at having to do some short-term borrowing to meet our short-term obligations. So, which we've never had to do. We are legally allowed to do it. We're allowed to borrow sort of within a year, but it's not ideal for sure, because then you're paying interest on those things. So, but
Thank you. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, just kind of want to wrap my head around this levy situation in terms of where you're at. Your current request that you're not hopeful is going to get approved, am I correct in understanding that that would just bring you back up to pre-pandemic levels?
that's correct, yes.
So even with that bringing it up to 817, that really doesn't even factor in any of the heavy inflationary concerns that we've had over the last 6 years since the pandemic. So
Correct.
you're asked, if I could be so bold, sounds pretty reasonable just to bring you back to where you were, as opposed to you're not even asking for anything inflationary.
No, that's correct. Yeah, it really is. I mean, we had a lot of internal discussion about what might be palatable to our members. I mean, I know everyone's facing increased costs, some downloading of services and costs from the province, and there's in Lethbridge in particular, there's the water treatment and the fire EMS thing, and I'm sure you're all facing increasing costs for policing and things like that. So it is a tricky environment to be asking for additional public tax-funded dollars. But we thought, at least going back up to where we were a number of years ago seemed like a reasonable ask, as you say. But it's still, and for the city, it represents about $43,000 a year, so not a significant amount. For us, that would be about $85,000, which is, it's not a huge amount, but I mean that's one position, right? Or that's some of the softwares we were looking at purchasing in our plan of service were $22,000 a year, so that's an ongoing expense. So we don't want to commit to that kind of thing, not knowing what our future might be over the next few years, but. Yeah, if our original 2023 to 2026 request had been approved, the levy right now would be $8.32 per capita. But, so we're definitely behind where we had hoped to be, but, so. Yeah, I think that's, I've kind of touched on some of these highlights. I mean, we're very busy supporting the library, supporting the people. In terms of trends, we're seeing an increase in the overdrive usage, so that's ebooks and audiobooks downloading. 40,000 items added to the catalog. I think I've touched on some of this stuff as well, so looking forward. We did do the 1-year levy increase for 2027. You haven't seen this, like normally it would come out as a memo to councils. We've been waiting to see what the city of Lethbridge does, because if they don't approve it, then there's no point asking you folks to like consider it, pass a motion and let us know. So, because it's kind of moot. So if that's the case, we will look forward to 2028 through 2031, in which case a 4-year levy request would come to this council and all member councils probably about this time next year. So, and I think that concludes our presentation. Thank you again for your time and for your support and your participation in the system. And any questions, further questions you may have, happy to answer. If it comes to your mind later, my card should be in the little handout there. You can just send me an email or give me a call and we'll be happy to address any questions you may have.
Thank you, Robin. Any questions for Robin? I might poke the bear once again. Would you care to comment on Bill 28 and any of the, I guess, impacts? Obviously, maybe being too broad, but if you want to speak to it, Robin,
Sure.
you have the opportunity. But if not, I completely understand as well.
No, I think it's important to get it out there. So Bill 28, I mean, you're probably quite familiar with Bill 28 because it affects councils as well. I mean, a sort of omnibus bill that changes a lot of things. And the library portion of it seems fairly innocuous because basically what it does is it gives the Minister of Municipal Affairs the power to make regulations, which the minister already has the power to make regulations for libraries, but specific regulations including restricting access to libraries is what it says, and also restricting access to borrowing based on age. So, and then it also gives the minister new powers of inspection, which from what I understand are modeled on municipal inspection things. So, and as you know, like a municipal inspection can often come with mandatory, like directives that you have to comply with. So that's my main concern. I mean, it seems to be, it's couched around the idea of providing age-appropriate access to library materials, which is something that already exists in libraries. And no one has demonstrated that there is a systemic issue with this in libraries. There are no real reported incidents of the things that the minister seems concerned about. There was no prior consultation made with libraries before the legislation was proposed. And so we don't really know where it's coming from, and because we haven't seen the regulation, we don't really know how to respond. We don't know what the impacts on libraries will be exactly because, again, it's very vague at this point. But for me, the main concern is that it undermines 100 years of governance, the model that has always been in place since the Libraries Act was passed in 1907, where a local municipality creates a library board, and the library board is accountable to the community and the municipality. And so what this Bill 28 does is basically allow the minister to kind of reach down and say to a library board, you're not running the library board in a way that we like, and we're going to tell you how to do it through an inspection and a directive process. So it really does undermine that local accountability and basically makes the Minister of Municipal Affairs kind of the sole arbiter of what kind of programming, space, collections a library may have or make access to the public. And I think that's the most problematic part of it. So thank you for the question.
Thank you, Robin.
Yeah.
I think obviously Bill 28, I think there's a lot of people that should be concerned about a lot of different parts of it. I think, like you say, it is obviously a very large and omnibus piece of legislation, but I think it would be tough, or at least it's tough for me to rationalize the idea of the current slogan of strong and free as we restrict freedoms and the consistent march of reducing red tape by creating more red tape. I think the irony shouldn't be lost on anyone what this bill actually creates for municipalities, libraries, and a number of different sectors throughout the province. So appreciate you commenting on that. Again, deeply grateful for the work you do. I think you guys are far too humble in what you do. I think that you approach things in such a financially responsible manner that I think sometimes it comes at a disservice, and that you're not asking for more sometimes. And I would encourage you to, ask for what you need to do the things you do and do the things you do well. I know I'm more than happy to advocate for that, and sure appreciate you both coming today. And if there's nothing else, we thank you for your
thank
time.
you for your support, and we do appreciate. I know the issues have come up at Mayors and Reeves, and I think we're in the last couple of years we're trying to do a better job of. It's sometimes difficult to articulate the value of what's basically a behind-the-scenes supportive service, but I'm hoping we're finding some strategies for that. And we managed to get on the front page of the Herald twice in 1 week, which has never happened before. So I'm hoping that there's going to be a rising awareness among the municipalities and users. So appreciate it once again. Thanks again for your time.
Thank
All
you.
the best. Take care.
Why don't we move in our agendas to G, Department Reports, G1, Development and Infrastructure, G1.1, Bylaw 26-010.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Council. So Bylaw 26-010 is an amendment to our land use bylaw. It's to redesignate a portion of Plan 0815575 Block 1, Lot 2. It is on Range Road 223, and it's within the Southwest 1511-23 west of the 4th. I'll just pull up the map here. So the portion that is being rezoned before you is the black hashed area, and the green area here, that's the dedicated wetland. So the rezoning follows that boundary. So about the application, it is to rezone the land from rural agriculture to business light industrial, BLI. And so the parcel currently contains an existing truck transportation depot that is operating in non-compliance with the current district. In 2025, the landowner did submit a development permit to construct a new building, and at that time it was flagged that they aren't compliant with the rural agricultural zone. They've done their due diligence working with administration at the county as well as the town of Nobleford. You recall that there was a intermunicipal development plan amendment before council in 2025 in order to consider this application. The IDP at the time was amended by Bylaw 25-011, and it was specifically to contemplate commercial industrial use on these subject lands and require the landowner to complete the wetland assessment before applying for the rezoning before you today. So the applicant has now submitted the technical reports required, the wetland assessment, which is the feature of that eastern boundary of the rezoning. They've submitted a servicing report addressing water, wastewater, stormwater management, and a geotechnical report confirming the site suitability for industrial use. So the proposed redesignation is approximately about 43 acres. And it will allow the business to be brought into compliance as well as to allow them to expand their business as they are intending on building another building on the site. In terms of the recommendations before you today, this is the first reading, and so it's recommended that Bylaw 26-010 be read for the first time in order to allow administration to schedule the public hearing. The redesignation does align with our municipal development plan policies in regard to supporting industrial and commercial expansion in areas that are identified through intermunicipal development plans. And it does allow for the growth of existing operations. In terms of the financial impact, there's nothing financial impact immediately, but obviously if the business did choose to proceed to the development phase, we would benefit from the commercial property tax revenue. And with that wraps up my report.
Thank you, Keelan. I would open up to council. Mark? Do you have some?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that bylaw 26-010 be read a first time.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved the bylaw 26-010 be read for a first time. Is there any further discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Kalen. That brings us to 9:48. Why don't we take a 12-minute recess and return at 10 o'clock? We will call our meeting back to order at 10:01 a.m. this morning. We can move on our agendas to item F, public hearings. We have two proposed public hearings for today. Item 1, Bylaw 26-003, amendment to the land use bylaw to redesignate a portion of Northwest 4920 west of the 4. And our second item, Bylaw 26-009, amendment to the land use bylaw to redesignate Plan 309 DT Block 1 lots 9 through 11. So with that, I would recess the regular meeting. We are here today to hold the public hearing for Bylaw 26-003, amendment to the land use bylaw to redesignate a portion of Northwest 4920 west of the 4, 981 Range Road 204 from urban fringe to a direct control. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing for Bylaw 26-003. Lauren?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion to open the bylaw, or open the public hearing for Bylaw 26-003.
Thank you, Lauren. Lauren has moved to open the public hearing for Bylaw 26-003. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Public hearing is being held pursuant to the Municipal Government Act as amended. The public hearing is being live streamed via the county's YouTube page. The public hearing for Bylaw 26-003 is now officially open. I will now ask for a review of the nature of the hearing and an overview of what is being proposed. Kaylin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Council. So Bylaw 26-003 is an amendment to the land use bylaw to redesignate a portion of Northwest 4920 west of the 4th. It's on Range Road 204 from urban fringe to direct control. So in the context of the application, let's pull up a map for you first. Here we go. So it is a proposal for direct control to accommodate an existing event center use that is being operated in non-compliance. In addition, there is an existing short-term rental, a tourist home under our land use bylaw definition, and an agricultural services business on site. We have issued, as the county, development permits to expand that agricultural services business this spring, and the tourist home has now received a development permit as well. So the rezoning application before you is because the event center is not a use within a rural agricultural title, and so it does require to be rezoned. The application has been circulated to internal and external departments, including the town of Coaldale, as it is within our referral area for the town of Coaldale. Town of Coaldale had no comments. The most substantial comments regarding the application was Alberta Transportation. They did require a traffic impact assessment memo. The memorandum was submitted and it was reviewed by Alberta Transportation. It identified intersection upgrades to Highway 512 and Range Road 204 are warranted, but these upgrades are actually not contributed to this proposed development because this development is off-peak hours. Event center time would be Friday, Saturday, Sundays. That being said, they have indicated that the TIA is accepted as long as an illumination light on the northwest quadrant of Highway 3 and Range Road 204 is installed. So the applicant is currently investigating that with their engineers. It will be addressed at the development permit stage for the event center. So with that, the application does comply with our municipal development plan, as our municipal development plan supports mixed land uses that create economic development opportunities, this one being quite unique as it is on an agricultural title. Where else? In terms of what's before you today, it is recommended by administration to read Bylaw 26-003 the second and third time. And I do want to say, out of the public notifications, we haven't received any inquiries or questions regarding the application. And that wraps up my report.
Thank you, Kaylin. This is council's opportunity to receive input from the public. Those making presentations are asked to state their name and review their points. We ask that you refrain from asking questions to council. The intention of the public hearing is not to debate or defend the contents of the bylaw or the position which individual councillors may have on the bylaw. Questions asked of a councillor by a presenter may be ruled out of order. Presentations to council will start with the applicant who has made a submission, followed by any other persons wishing to comment on the proposal. Please keep your comments to the point. After each speaker, members of council will be permitted to ask questions of the presenter to clarify any details. No debating or questions from the floor will be allowed. Each speaker will be allotted up to 10 minutes. Additional time may be granted at the discretion of council. With that, I would ask if there's anyone wishing to speak to the proposed bylaw.
Good afternoon, or good morning. My name is Brian Stouchdyke. This is my property, and it's our family farm. And we had a barn built 1950s roughly, and we thought this as an opportunity that for families and other community people to enjoy the beauty of the county and all this. So we believe we'll create a world-class event center that many people from around Alberta will come and enjoy the beauty of Lethbridge County. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the proposed bylaw? And for a third and final time, I would ask if there's anyone wishing to speak to the proposed bylaw. If not, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing. John?
Thank you. I'll move to close the public hearing for bylaw 26-003.
Thank you, John. John has moved to close the public hearing for bylaw 26-003. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. We can now resume our public meeting. Is there anything further, Kaylin? No. Okay. Before you have a recommendation for second and third reading. How would you like to proceed? We got Eric and then Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, we've reviewed the information. Looks very well presented, and it's been found a way to fit nicely into our bylaws and controls. So with that, I'd like to move that bylaw 26-003 be read a second time.
Thank you, Eric. Eric has moved that bylaw 26-003 be read for a second time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this creates a great opportunity, and it'll do benefits there. So I move that bylaw 26-003 be read a third time.
Thank you, Tony. Tony has moved that bylaw 26-003 be read for a third time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you. Moving our agenda to our second public hearing for today. This is for a public hearing for bylaw 26-009, amendment to the land use bylaw to redesignate Plan 309 DT Block 1, lots 9 through 11, 120 Main Street, Turin, from Hamlet Direct Control, HDC, to Hamlet Residential, HR. I would ask for a motion to open the public hearing for bylaw 26-009. Mark. Mark has
Mr.
moved.
Chair, I move to
Sorry.
open the public hearing.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved to open the public hearing for bylaw 26-009. Is there any discussion? I will call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. The public hearing is being held pursuant to the Municipal Government Act as amended. The public hearing is being live streamed via the county's YouTube page. And with that, the public hearing for bylaw 26-009 is now officially open. I'll now ask for a review of the nature of the hearing and an overview of what is being proposed. Kaylin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Council. So bylaw 26-009 is again an amendment to our land use bylaw. It's to redesignate Plan 309 DT Block 1, lots 9 to 11. It is 120 Main Street, Turin, from Hamlet Direct Control to Hamlet Residential. So the application before you, I'll just pull up the map, exact parcel. The application before you is to redesignate to Hamlet Residential to support a 2-story fourplex development. The individual just purchased this property. You may recall it previously was the Waste Commission site where recycling happened on the parcel, but the county did dispose of this parcel in 2025. We have confirmed on behalf of the county that there is municipal services available if the development does occur. And then we have also confirmed that there is existing fire hydrants with adequate distance to meet the fire code related to a fourplex. The applicant has expressed interest in developing the lot this year, and I do want to share the development permit has already been received and just is pending any council decision on the application. When we circulated the rezoning application, there was no comment specifically from internal or external departments. I would say I have received a few calls from surrounding neighbors and members of the Hamlet and Turin community. Predominantly, the inquiries have been regarding mixed use, flexibility of land use, people concerned that the loss of commercial in their hamlet, and is there a demand here? And those have been the line of questioning in terms of the mixed use, if there would be ability to operate like a front-facing business on the street in the future. Those specifically not the intent of the landowner today, and not a provision we have in the land use bylaw under the Hamlet residential. I would share that Turin's growth study didn't identify any demand for commercial. This form of density is a good kind of transition from the Hamlet commercial that exists today down to the single family, and being that in between. I note those comments because I did receive a few phone calls as well as Trevor. So with that, the recommendation before you is for bylaw 26-009 to be read a second and a third time. The redesignation is in alignment with our municipal development plan and our land use bylaw, as it supports residential growth within our hamlets where municipal services are available. The financial impact, obviously there's no financial impact of the decision today, but once the property is developed, if and when that happens, we would benefit from property taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylin. This is council's opportunity to receive input from the public. Excuse me. Those making presentations are asked to state their name and review their points. We ask you refrain from asking questions to council. The intention of the public hearing is not to debate or defend the contents of the bylaw or the position which individual councillors may have on the bylaw. Questions asked of a councillor by a presenter may be ruled out of order. Presentations to council will start with the applicant who's made a submission, followed by any other persons wishing to comment on the proposal. Please keep your comments to the point. After each speaker, members of council will be permitted to ask questions of the presenter to clarify any details. No debating or questions from the floor will be allowed. Each speaker will be allotted up to 10 minutes. Additional time may be granted at the discretion of council. With that, I would ask if there's anyone wishing to speak to the proposed bylaw.
Good morning, Reeve and members of council. My name is Jaylene Pickering-Krupka. I'm a resident of the Hamlet of Turin. Now, I just have a statement here that I've written. Thank you for the opportunity to speak regarding bylaw 26-009. I understand the intent of the rezoning is to allow a multi-unit residential dwelling on an existing vacant lot. The proposed development has been described as a fourplex. My concern is not with the residential development in general, but whether the specific location and current hamlet infrastructure can safely and reasonably support a multi-unit development. My main concern is parking, road safety, pedestrian safety, and access on Main Street. A fourplex could result in several vehicles being associated with one property. If each unit has 1, 2, or more vehicles, the developer could easily create a need for 4 to 8 resident parking spaces before visitor parking is even considered. If adequate on-site parking is not required and enforced, the overflower will likely end up long-term street parking or parking on surrounding streets. In a small hamlet like Turin, long-term street parking involved multiple vehicles from one property can quickly create safety and access concerns. Parked vehicles can reduce visibility, narrow the usable roadway, interfere with snow removal, and affect emergency access and create issues for neighboring residents trying to safely access their own properties. The concern is greater because of the proposed development is located on Main Street. Main Street is not only just a residential street, but it's also a main route in the hamlet. It is used for access to the water station, access to the post office, general movement through the community. While some trucks may haul loaded on to the gravel road, some loaded trucks also travel back through the hamlet. This means the traffic on Main Street can include heavier vehicles, loaded truck traffic, not just regular residential traffic. Adding a fourplex on the main street without a clear and enforceable parking plan could create conflicts between parked vehicles, residents, pedestrians, post office users, and trucks traveling through the hamlet. If vehicles from the development are parked long-term on the street, the road may become narrow and less safe for local traffic, larger vehicles, loaded trucks, emergency vehicles, and residents accessing the community services. This concern is also increased because Turin does not have sidewalks. Residents, children, seniors, and anyone walking through the hamlet already walk along the road edge. If the vehicles are parked on the street long-term, especially near driveways, intersections, the post office, or along Main Street, pedestrian safety becomes a serious concern. Before this rezoning is approved, I respectfully ask the council consider changing the land the land from Hamlet direct control to Hamlet residential. The county gives enough control to access these site-specific concerns. Under the Hamlet direct control, the council may have more availability to review specific development and place site-specific conditions on parking, access, traffic, and safety. Once the land is rezoned to Hamlet residential, I'm concerned that there may be less control over final development and its impact on the hamlet. I respectfully request that the council require a minimum of a complete site plan before approval proceeds, an adequate on-site parking for each residential unit, additional visitor parking on site, a clear plan showing the development will not rely on long-term street parking, a review of the Main Street traffic impacts, including access to the water station, the post office, loaded trucks traveling through the hamlet, review of road width, visibility, emergency access, and snow removal. Consideration of pedestrian safety because there are no sidewalks in Turin. And consideration of whether the Hamlet direct control should remain in place until these concerns are fully reviewed. Turin is a small hamlet, and even one multi-unit development can have a noticeable impact on parking, traffic, safety, and daily use of road. Main Street already serves as an important access for the function of the hamlet, including access to the water station, post office, and is used by larger and loaded vehicles at times. For these reasons, I have concerns with the bylaw 26-009 as proposed. I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the proposed bylaw? And for a third and final time, I'll ask if there's anyone wishing to speak to the proposed bylaw. If there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing for bylaw 26-009. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Eric. Eric has moved to close the public hearing for bylaw 26-009. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We can now resume our public meeting. Is there any questions for Kalen at this time? Lauren and then Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just following up on the presentation, can you have direct control and have a development like this?
So if we read the purity of our bylaw today, Hamlet direct control, the intention was commercial. So a rezoning application would have still been required because council wouldn't be making a decision against the intention of what Hamlet direct control was meant to do. So they would have had to rezone to another direct control. That wasn't the recommended administration approach because throughout the rezoning application, we have worked with the proponent on getting a site plan and concept. It is actually in your council package today to make, essentially the Hamlet residential has all of the provisions and requirements to address things like lot size, parking, and all of that. So duplicating a direct control wasn't suitable in this case.
Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for clarity, I was looking at the package here. In that preliminary drawings, it shows 2 parking spots per unit. So there's actually 8 parking spots off-site, like off-street. So that's already been, that would address the concerns.
Yeah,
So,
thank
and
you.
That's a valid concerns, I appreciate that. too.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Sayers. Parking is generally a very, very strong concern in Hamlet, especially when there is denser forms of development like a fourplex. Our land use bylaw has provisions specifically to parking requirements for any development. Specifically for multifamily residential, we require 1.5 stalls per unit, so that would require 6 stalls for this development. But as you see, the site plan provided by the proponent, they are actually proposing 2 stalls per unit, 4 of them going off the back lane and 4 of them going off of the main street.
Go, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I look at this in terms of the proposal that's being presented by the landowner, and correct me if I'm wrong, but moving this into Hamlet residential would put very rigid and strict controls on what they can do for development, and would be the best fit for what they're planning to do for this.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Kurbis. In our land use bylaw, the Hamlet residential is the best fit. There are specific use provisions that would apply because of the fourplex, and our development authority will do our due diligence in reviewing that and also notifying and circulating the neighbors for comment throughout the development process.
Okay, and just one follow-up, if I may. So, the concerns that were expressed by Janelle, those are more development issues as opposed to zoning issues, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, and so, concerns regarding parking, sidewalks, traffic control, and that is all something that needs to be looked at very seriously at if and when the landowner decides to move forward with a development permit and start looking at actually putting something on that lot.
Mm-hmm. I would just clarify, this landowner is limited to the property in which they own, so broader issues related to the hamlet, like sidewalks, would be outside the scope of their development permit.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Kalen? Sorry, go ahead, Dwayne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the concern for any long-term parking on the street there, just kind of looking at your lot plan there, that's going to kind of impact more so even like surrounding neighbors kind of deal. Any issues to address that at all? Any ways to address that?
Thank you, Councillor Ankerman. Yeah, so say by chance somebody had a visitor, and where would they be parking? They would be finding street, is there street parking in Turin?
I have to check with enforcement. I'm not sure if there is on-street parking allowed
Yeah.
or not. Check with
Yeah. Yeah, so if there is no on-street parking allowed, they would have to provide additional parking stalls on their lot, which an individual may choose to do that. Yeah.
Quitter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that bylaw 26-009 be read a second time.
Thank you, Eric. Eric has moved that bylaw 26-009 be read for a second time. Is there any discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that bylaw 26-009 be read a third time.
John has moved that bylaw 26-009 be read for a third time. Is there any further discussion? Quidlorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to follow up on the parking, if you have the parking facing the main street that is reserved for the tenants, those 2 or 4 stalls, there would be, if there was on-street parking, there would be no way you could park in front of there, so you would have to park in front of somebody else's place then. That would be the issue to me.
Correct, Councillor Hickey. No different than any urban area or hamlet area. If there's a driveway, you can't park in front of it, quite obviously. But we would have to confirm if there's street parking even allowed on Turin. This is really a development discussion to be had to make sure that there's adequate parking. There is a back lane, which generally speaking is a very positive thing when we're looking at multi-family plexes. It does give multiple access points moving the traffic away from Main Street to protect the safety and the traffic controls and everything like that. So having half the vehicles on both sides does really help.
Any other questions? So John has moved that bylaw 26-009 be read for a third time. Not, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That carries. Thank you, Killen. Moving our agendas to administration. G2, G2.1, bylaw 26-018, Orsk Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw. Candace.
Good morning, Council. Orsk has prepared an updated Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw following compliance deficiencies identified during the 2024-2025 Municipal Accountability Program audits, which are conducted by Municipal Affairs. The updated bylaw has been developed collaboratively, wow, that's a good one, with Municipal Affairs and is designed to ensure alignment with the Municipal Government Act and the matters relating to assessment complaints regulation. Council is being asked to adopt bylaw 26-018, the Orsk Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw, which replaces the municipality's previous RAP bylaw. Adoption ensures continued compliance with provincial legislation and the municipality's continued participation in the Regional Assessment Appeal Framework administered by Orsk. The Regional Assessment Board is a quasi-judicial body established under the Municipal Government Act to hear assessment complaints within participating member municipalities of Orsk. Orsk administers the Regional Assessment Review Board on behalf of its member municipalities under a regional service agreement. During the 2024-2025 Municipal Accountability Program audits conducted by Municipal Affairs, it was identified that the existing bylaw no longer met current compliance requirements under the MGA. In response, Orsk administration worked collaboratively with Municipal Affairs to review and modernize the bylaw to ensure alignment with both the MGA and the matters relating to the assessment complaints regulation. The resulting 2025 Orsk Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw introduces several significant enhancements as required by Municipal Affairs, such as formal recognition of Orsk as the coordinating administrative authority, delegation of authority to both the clerk and the Orsk CAO for appointments and operations of the board, electronic submission of assessment complaints clearly permitted, expanded and modernized definitions to ensure consistency and compliance, and clearer governance structure for appointments, panels, and administrative support. We are recommending that council provide or give all three readings today. The reason for that recommendation is just so that this bylaw meets current compliance requirements under the MGA.
Thank you, Candace. Are there any questions?
I have a previous bylaw, and so do we need to rescind the previous bylaw?
Yes, it's rescinded in the, in this new bylaw. So the new one, there's a rescinding, so bylaw number 21-019 will be rescinded upon its entirety upon approval of this new bylaw.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move the recommendation that bylaw 26-018, Orsk Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw be read for a first time.
Thank you, Eric. Eric has moved first reading of bylaw 26-018. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Mark.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that bylaw 26-018, Orsk Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw be read a second time.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved that bylaw 26-018 be read for a second time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move that council consider third reading of bylaw 26-018, Orsk Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin has moved that council consider third reading of bylaw 26-018, Orsk Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that bylaw -018, the Orsk Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw, be read a third time.
Thank you, John. John has moved that bylaw 26-018, the Orsk Regional Assessment Review Board bylaw, be read for a third time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you, Candace. Item G2.2, Community Peace Officer Policy Updates.
Administration is presenting 4 new community peace officer policies. Policy 219, CPO agency objective, policy 220, CPO authorities and employer restrictions, policy 221, CPO level 1 incident reporting, and policy 222, peace officer program reporting. These policies have been developed to align Lethbridge County's Community Peace Officer Program with current Alberta legislation, including the Peace Officer Act, the Peace Officer Ministerial Regulation, and recent amendments arising from the establishment of the Police Review Commission effective December 1st, 2025. Concurrently, administration recommends that council formally rescind 9 existing CPO policies that are superseded, consolidated, or no longer consistent with provincial legislation requirements. The new policies establish a stronger, more cohesive, and legislatively current policy framework for Lethbridge County CPO program, and collectively fulfill the authorized employer obligation under the Peace Officer Act and Public Security Peace Officer Program Policy and Procedures Manual. CPOs are appointed by the minister under Section 7 and Section 8 of the Peace Officer Act and are authorized to enforce specified provincial statutes within the geographical area of Lethbridge County as set out on each officer's individual peace officer appointment. Lethbridge County holds an authorization to employ peace officers under Section 10 of the Peace Officer Act, which confers obligations on the municipality as the authorized employer. The current CPO policy framework includes a series of numbered policies, several of which were developed under earlier versions of the provincial program requirements. 9 of these policies, 207, 208, 209, 210, 211, 212, 214, 215, and 217, are no longer reflective of current provincial standards and have been consolidated with new policies or have been superseded by provincial legislation or program changes. Effective December 1st, 2025, the province of Alberta amended the Police Act to establish the Police Review Commission and its CEO concurrently. ACERT's mandate was extended to include the investigation of serious incidents involving community peace officers under the amended Section 19(1.1) of the Peace Officer Act. The Police Conduct and Oversight Regulation was also enacted, establishing a classification system for Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3 incidents. These changes introduce new mandatory notification obligations for authorized employers that require codification in Lethbridge County's policy framework. The Public Security Peace Officer Program Policy and Procedure Manual was updated to version 4.0 January 2026, reflecting these changes and setting out revised administrative and incident reporting requirements for authorized employers under Section 21. The 4 new policy proposed for adoption are summarized as follows. 219 CPO agency objectives establish the strategic objectives of Lethbridge County Enforcement Services, including operational excellence, professional competence, and community engagement. Sets out the peace officer services delivery model, conduct standards, and requirements for regular review. Policy 220, CPO authorities and employer restrictions, documents the statutory enforcement authorities granted to CPOs through their individual peace officer appointments, and sets out Lethbridge County's position on employer-imposed restrictions. Confirms that CPOs shall not exceed the authorities granted by their appointment, and identifies the applicable list of provincial statutes for which the county holds a authorization to employ. Policy 221, CPO Level 1 incident reporting, provides mandatory procedural guidance for CPOs and supervisors on identifying and reporting Level 1 incidents under Section 19(1.1) of the Peace Officer Act. It establishes the CAO, PRC, and the primary external notification body, sets out roles and responsibilities for supervisors and peace officers, and addresses intervention option seizure, subject witness, peace officer status, after hours availability, wow, and legal support for involved officers. Policy 222, Peace Officer Program reporting consolidates all reporting obligations to the Public Security Peace Officer Program, including administrative and incident reporting timelines as required by the Police Officer Act, the Peace Officer Ministerial Regulation, and the Public Security Peace Officer Program Policy and Procedure Manuals.
Take a breath.
So we are recommending that council approve the 4 new policies and then rescind the 9 that are no longer effective.
Thank you, Candace. I would open up to council for any questions you might have. Go ahead.
My question's more just a procedural one. Are we looking to do these individually or as a group?
You can, just one motion for all of them is fine. Just include all the policies in your approval motion, and then we'll list the ones that are being rescinded in the second motion, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
And are we looking to do for second and third readings of this, or just
This isn't a bylaw.
Just
so-
Oh, yeah, it's a policy, yeah. Okay, well then, being that, I would like to move that council approve the following new community peace offer policies. Policy 219, 220, 221, 222, and that council rescind the...
We'll stop there. We'll do that one first.
Yeah.
Right,
You
Candace?
said all in one.
No, she said we could approve all in one, and then we'll rescind all in another.
Well, fine.
Okay, before we proceed, I'll open it up for any discussion or questions. Go ahead, Lauren.
Could you read those again?
No, no.
John has moved that council approve the following new community peace officer policies: Policy 219, Policy 220, Policy 221, and Policy 222. Are there any further questions? Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. And a motion to rescind. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move that council rescind the following existing CPO policies effective upon approval of the new policies, which we just did. So Policy 207, Policy 208, Policy 209, Policy 210, Policy 211, Policy 212, Policy 214, Policy 215, and Policy 217.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin has moved that council rescind the following existing CPO policies: Policy 207, 208, 209, 210, 211, 212, 214, 215, and 217. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you, Candace. And why don't we move down then? G3, growth and engagement. G3.1. The SAMP sponsorship
I'm not
request.
next, sorry. Sorry.
Do you want me to go to,
I'll
we
get
can,
off
we can
here.
do yours?
No, that's
Like,
okay.
we can do yours
Sorry.
first, Maddie.
I just wanted to make sure I could get my PowerPoint up in time so that you weren't waiting for me, but I will let, unless, do you need the screens? Okay, I'm so
Maddie,
sorry.
we'll do yours.
Okay,
We'll do
I
yours.
apologize.
Let's
Sorry
move-
about that.
We'll do
I got too
G3.2.
excited about my presentation.
Let's move to G3.2, communications and marketing Q1 and Q2 report.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Good to go? Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Council. I am here to present the first half of 2026 for the Communications and Marketing Department. I think this is the first time I've given Council an update on department activities, so excited to be here. I think you have your presentation in front of you in your agendas, but I just did a brief PowerPoint to kind of reiterate some of the highlights. So please feel free to stop me at any time, ask questions, clarification, anything like that. Happy to discuss. So a bit of an overview of the department. We manage how the organization connects with and is seen by the community. We play a central role in how the county informs, engages, and builds trust with residents, businesses, staff, media, and regional partners. Our work requires a high level of creativity, political acuity, and a people-centered lens. Everything that we do is designed to resonate with the community to build public trust and strengthen the county's reputation across the region and beyond. So if you can kind of see the table that I have here, our scope of work. So we are a two-person department, as you know, myself the strategist and Kelsey is our coordinator. We're responsible for a number of areas, so things like strategy and planning. We do communication strategies with all departments. We are responsible for all of the county's digital channels, so that's the website, our social media, which includes Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. The County Insider e-newsletter that we send out every 2 weeks, and then special editions as needed. The County Employee Hub, as well as your Council Hub. We are responsible as well for our traditional media channels, so newspaper and radio advertising, signage, posters, things like that. Content and design, so writing services, graphic design. We collaborate with Ag Extension on the Rural Living magazine, which comes out twice a year. We are responsible for the media and reputation relationships, so media relations and brand management. Brand management includes everything from, our letterhead to how we show up online, to our signage, to decals on our fleet vehicles, so kind of a wide range of things there. As well as some internal and organizational support. So we help out human resources with recruitment and onboarding when needed, event support. We manage the apparel program and promotional products, and we are heavily involved in the core values program with the county. Any questions on that, on our scope? No, straightforward. Okay, so what drives our work? The work of the Communications and Marketing Department is, I should be going through my PowerPoint here. So what drives our work? So resident trust and transparency, producing timely, accurate information about what's going on in the county is very important. Attracting and retaining staff, so working on job ads, positioning the county as a premium employer, helping out with onboarding materials, our regional reputation, so ensuring that we have a professional presence that positions the county as a well-run organization. Supporting growth and development, so things like public engagement and brand positioning for investment. Amplifying county initiatives, which usually require a coordinated and multi-channel campaign that reach the right audiences at the right time. And building community connections, so working on telling those stories that show the people and the work behind our services. So we'll move down to our year-to-date snapshot. So these are all of our statistics from January 1st to May 31st. So as you can see, a number of activities completed across all departments and functional levels of the county. We do have over 100 planned projects in our 2026 schedule. We know that that's going to increase just by the nature of the work that we do. Our activity breakdown, you can see that about 2/3 of our activities so far this year have been planned, leaving room for that other third that are kind of unplanned. So those things that come up that are things like fire bans, service outages, road closures, who knows what. We never know what our day is going to bring, which is exciting. So there's that. So I'll move on to our traditional and our print channels. So we, as I kind of mentioned before, we have a number of traditional mediums that we use. These kind of help us reach residents who might not be online or when we need to reinforce messages in a more physical environment. So things like newspaper advertising, we've done a number of Sunny South ads so far this year across a various range of topics. We have done one radio campaign so far this year for seasonal job postings. We've started doing some more roadside signage just to kind of test that out and see if that resonates with the community. We did get some good feedback with the spring dust suppression intake that the signs on the sides of the road were very helpful. So we plan to, we've already done those for the fall intake, as you've probably seen. And at the beginning of July, you'll see signs throughout the county reminding people of property tax payment deadline. So we're trying that out this year. Billing inserts, so every month we do a very specific insert for all of our utility customers, just reiterating some of the things that are happening in the county, deadline reminders and things like that. And as I mentioned, collaborating with Ag Extension on the Rural Living magazine that comes out twice a year now. And moving on to our digital channels. Very pleased with how our digital channels have been performing so far in 2026. As you can see, we've been very consistent with Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn with our posts. We really try and kind of curate our content based on the platform that we're using. So Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn all kind of have a little bit of different audiences, so trying to kind of hit the right notes there. As you can see, we have grown our audiences across all of our digital platforms, which is really exciting. So that's been very promising. Our social media channels particularly are performing very well. We've been driving higher views and engagement numbers than what we have seen in past years. We have really been kind of tracking what kinds of content is resonating with our audiences. So we've noticed things like equipment, posts with county staff, road work, those consistently see higher statistics and engagement rates. So we're really trying to focus a lot on those kind of content in collaboration with the more like need to know types of things. So mixing in some more kind of interesting and fun content with those things that people need to know about. So. And then kind of to sum it all up, some highlights from 2026 so far. Some of you may have seen the reel that we did on our social channels with the new gravel retriever equipment. We did not expect the response that we got from that, but it was very exciting. It has now become the most successful piece of content in the county's digital history. We've reached over 450,000 people, which is crazy. And the last time I checked, I think we were at almost 940,000 views. So people were very excited about the new equipment that we got. So that's great. And I have kind of gotten questions before about like, well, there's only 10,000 people in the county. Like, do we need to be reaching these large audiences? But the better that our content performs, the more people that we reach, the more engagement that we get. The algorithm looks upon that very favorably, and they will start to show our content more often to more people. Hopefully we're getting the county audience more often, because the more that people engage with your content, the algorithm, they understand that people want to see what you're putting out. So we actually regularly get notifications on our social media that says, great job, you're producing high quality content, we're going to show it to more people. So that's been really exciting to see. And as you can see, our Facebook and Instagram engagement rates are well above the industry average for government. So again, very promising. YouTube has kind of been an emerging channel for us. We haven't kind of had an intentional strategy around YouTube. It's mostly kind of been a place where we put videos so that we have a space for them, but we are finding that people are finding our videos and they're watching them, and they're leaving comments and they're leaving likes and things like that. So something for us to kind of keep in mind for the future. Our County Insider has been very successful. Our open rate, so how many people are actually opening the email, is above the government sector average, which is promising. We see consistent signups with that. I have to give some kudos to our front desk team and our operations admin. They've been really encouraging people when they come with questions to sign up for the Insider, so that's been great. And then our website traffic continues to be strong. We do have a lot of people searching for the county on Google, on other search engines, looking for our website. So yeah, those are kind of the highlights so far for 2026. Moving on to media coverage, we have issued a number of news releases and PSAs this year. We've done quite a few in collaboration with other municipalities, which has been great to kind of show some of the partnerships that we have throughout the region. We have a very good relationship with the media. We have tried to be more intentional about giving additional opportunities for interviews, for media scrums, just to try and get the county's message out there to the community a little bit more intentionally with the news media. So those are kind of the statistics so far from 2026. Any questions on any of those before I move on? No? Okay. And then just some considerations. So things that we have to think about in the communications and marketing department. One of the things that we focus on the most is how do we reach the right people on the right channels? There are so many different ways to communicate with people nowadays, but also we have such a wide-ranging audience. We have people that live in more rural areas, that live in hamlets. We serve people, you know, of all generations, differing levels of comfortability with like technology or wanting to use traditional media and things like that. So determining where to direct our efforts really requires some ongoing evaluation of who we're trying to reach and how they prefer to receive information. We know that there's no single channel that reaches every single person, so most of our communication strategies require a multi-channel approach. So, and then as well, competing priorities. So we have, as you can see, we have a lot of activities that we've kind of completed already. So we really have to work on balancing strategic work with those urgent communications. So again, things like fire bans, emergencies, road closures, severe weather, things like that. And then resource demands of quality communications. Kind of our approach to communications is, you know, we don't just have a department say, you know, this thing is happening, can you post it on Facebook? And we post it on Facebook. It's a lot deeper than that. So, you know, we'll have somebody come to us and say, we're maybe trying this new process on our roads. So we have to go back to the department, we have to gather all of the information, ask a bunch of questions. We really have to become the subject matter experts on what is happening, and make sure that we're getting all the information that the audience needs to know about. And then so we take that away, we draft our content, we go back to the department, we verify, we check to make sure we've gotten everything accurately. Then we identify the audience, and from there we identify the channels. So what is the best way to reach these people? You know, are we talking about a project in one residential subdivision, so we will send them letters? Are we talking about something that impacts everybody in the county, so we need to, you know, have a more robust approach? And then we have to actually produce the materials. So, you know, creating graphics and social posts, signage, PSAs, all those kinds of things. And then once everything is out in the world, then we follow up with the department. So are you getting a lot of calls? Are you getting a lot of questions? Do people understand the message that we have put out? Do we need to, you know, adjust and adapt our strategy? Do we need to do more or less? So it really is kind of a multi-step process to get our communications out there. So, all right. So looking forward, we have a few additional kind of priorities. Looking ahead into the rest of 2026. So the first one, exploring new communications channels. We are always evaluating how our channels are performing. Are there, you know, additional ways that we can reach people? Are there other ways that people want us to be communicating with them? So some options that we are considering, potentially you know, doing podcasting. It's actually a very low cost method of communication. You know, is that the right channel to reach people? Doing a monthly or quarterly magazine, maybe that supplements the Rural Living magazine that's maybe more county activity focused. Do we do, you know, more radio advertising? Should we do more in-person engagement opportunities? So this is something that we're always kind of evaluating and want to take a closer look at in the rest of 2026. As well as refining our internal processes. So we're always looking at how we can be more efficient, because there's never a shortage of things to communicate and ways to improve. So, you know, how can we improve our workflows? So that includes incorporating some, you know, AI tools into our processes. So things like reporting and analytics, you know, reviewing and refining our content, things like that. As well, the Deep Roots Bright Future video series, we're super excited to be continuing on with that. We've filmed just under half of the businesses so far this year, so it's been going really, really well. As you may have seen, we released a video this month on Can-Do Rail Terminal, and then we have a few more in the queue for the next few months. So really excited about that one. As well, as you may remember from budget this year, we will be getting a new website in 2027. So in order to kind of make that the best and most impactful resource for the community, we want to make sure that we're putting out an RFP that reflects kind of the needs and the wants of not only the community but of staff as well. So we'll be working on that throughout the rest of the year. The Lethbridge Regional Waste Management Services Commission, we've been working with them on doing a brand refresh and with recycling, curbside recycling rolling out later this year, working with the commission on communications around that. So you'll be seeing more of that coming up. And then lastly, just our ongoing communications. So working on that list of 100 plus things that the community needs to know about. So that's kind of where we're looking for the rest of 2026. So to wrap up, the Communications and Marketing Department, we play a central role in how the county connects with the community. Every piece of our work is designed to keep residents informed, to build trust, and to strengthen the county's reputation. We're very pleased with the progress that we've made in the first half of 2026. And as we move into the second half of the year, we are focused on all of these things that I just kind of explained, and really to tell the stories that connect with our community to the work that the county does every day. So, with that, any questions?
Thank you, Maddie. I'd open
Thank
up
you.
to council for any questions or comments you might have. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a question, but a comment. Just number one, from the standpoint of the commissions and as a counselor, I really appreciate what you and your team has been doing in terms of highlighting what we do here and screaming it out to the world. I think it's really essential to help with bringing in economic development, but also just letting people know here, all the complexities of what we do in the municipality, and looking around into other municipalities our size. There's nobody out there that's doing it to the level that we are doing it, and I know that it is something that a lot of times you don't necessarily see the instant what's the word I'm struggling for? The input on it and the positive input on it, but the gravel recovery thing, that's cool. But the long term of it is the more we get out there, the more input we get back, and the more positive feedback we have, and it just helps everybody get better. So again, I'm rambling a little bit, but I really appreciate the efforts that your department put into making sure that we're out there.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Deputy
John.
Reeve-Curvis.
Yeah, I would echo what John said. I think to see what a team of two, what you're doing, the amount of content you're creating and putting out there, and just the standard that you've set as far as our brand, the level of professionalism, I think it just speaks so well to the county and just that high bar that we at this table want to set. And I think how you put that out to the world is remarkable. To consider that it's just you two doing what you do, the posts on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on social media. I think it's found that right balance between being informative, looking good, looking clean, but also it's at times maybe not taking itself too seriously. I think there's a line to walk there, and I think you guys do a great job with that tone. Things like the county conversations that Trevor's a part of, the Deep Roots, Bright Future, I think, again, just highlighting what's happening, the people that are making things happen within our community. I think it just looks good. It's just visually appealing, and I really appreciate the work you do. And I think, to me, being on this side of the table, I appreciate that it's not necessarily about the seven of us. It's about what's happening in the community. It's about the staff that are out there doing the work, the businesses that make this county what it is. And I think you found a way to make it about them, and I deeply appreciate that. And I think it's remarkable what you've done. So just a big hats off to you and Kelsey on what you've done. And I think when you being in what we do, you look out there and you see what other municipalities are doing. You always look at what's happening out there, what are they doing, and how they choose to communicate and market. And I think there's 3 tiers where you have the very, you know, minimal level of communication where it's only the mandatory things you have to communicate, and then you have the ones in the middle that I think, you know, maybe a little bit more here and there. And then you have a top tier where I think you're checking all the boxes. And as John said, I think we are at the top of that because of the work you do. So I think it's great. Makes me proud to you know, wear Lethbridge County branded material out in public. It's cool, and I don't think that was necessarily always the case. So definitely appreciate that. So just a big thank you, Maddie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Trevor, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Sure, I'll just add that, you know, this is part of our ongoing effort to provide council with more metrics-based, performance-related information. So you've had economic development updates from me in the past, and so the intent would be this kind of an update once or twice a year, where we can actually show you the benchmarks. You know, we can actually show you that we're performing better than other similar government institutions and show you the numbers, and certainly would welcome your feedback if there's other data you would like or other information or other reporting for future editions. But this was sort of the first attempt at, here's the numbers, here's how we're performing. It's not just, I mean, I share your opinion. I echo that it's a mighty team of 2 that I get the privilege to work with that do some amazing things, but don't take my word for it. Here's the numbers, I think is, you know, very much what we're trying to show. And so if you have feedback going forward on what you would like to see or the kinds of reporting that you'd be interested in, we're happy to modify that going forward.
Thank you, Trevor. Do you have anything else, Maddie?
I would just like to thank council for their time and their support. We couldn't do what we do without the support of council and senior administration and really everybody throughout the organization. I think everyone really sees the value of a strong communications strategy and just being able to be empowered to try new things and you know, do things a little bit differently than maybe everybody else is. But I do think it's resonating with the community, so we hope to continue on that trajectory going forward. So, thank you.
Thanks, Maddie. Next on our agenda, item H, correspondence. We have 6 items of correspondence today.
You miss Trevor.
Oh, no, we won't. We will not do that. We jumped around there, so why don't we go to G31, the SAMP sponsorship request. Trevor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I promise I won't be long. So in your package, G.3.2.1 actually is a sponsorship request from the Southern Alberta Medical Program. So as you are all probably aware, the Southern Alberta Medical Program, or SAMP as the acronym is known, because you all need more 4-letter acronyms in your life, is welcoming its first cohort of students this summer. The county has previously expressed interest and support in physician recruitment. So that's actually why the request is before you today, in case that is still of interest to the county to demonstrate support. So the request from SAMP is for sponsorship, in quotation marks, funding to support welcoming that first cohort of students. So a number of communities and businesses have been solicited for donations. We are no different. I can tell you that the City of Lethbridge has set aside $10,000 towards supporting recognition and welcoming events for that first cohort. So if it is of interest to County Council, there is the opportunity to do something similar. My recommendation would be that on a scale, $1,000 probably makes sense proportionately, and that rather than simply giving that money to the entity, that we would actually use that to purchase county business items that could be in a welcome kit of some kind. So it would actually be a reinvestment back into county businesses as opposed to a cash sponsorship. And so, you know, again, if it's of interest, if you feel it's aligned with your past efforts and past interest in physician recruitment, fantastic. If not, you know, the flip side to that is clearly both post-secondary education and the healthcare system are exclusively provincial jurisdiction. And so, you know, you'd be right to say, is that an appropriate use of municipal tax dollars for supporting this program? So it's really a philosophical choice of whether the past work on physician recruitment, the past support of this program, whether it makes sense to provide some kind of sponsorship in whatever form and amount you see as appropriate or not. And if you decide that it is appropriate, my recommendation is laid out before you. And so you have both my review as well as the original request in your package. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Trevor. I'd open up to council for any questions or direction. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The whole purpose of the Southern Alberta Medical Program was to really bring potential doctors and student doctors into the region, or individuals that are local, train them here, keep them local, and with the thought process that they stay here and start their practice here. So, you know, I think philosophically it fits very well into our mandate as a council to try to make sure that the services within our region and our communities here are well-staffed. And my only question is, you know, is $1,000 sufficient for a welcome package for the individuals? I don't know how many individuals there are on the initial intake, but you know, pretty tough. We're over 10 people. It's pretty tough to find and put together a reasonable and a decent gift basket for anybody for $100. So if we're over 10 people, I think we might be selling ourselves a little short on the donation request, would be my only comment.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Kurbis. My understanding is that the first cohort is 25 students, and then by year 2 they plan to expand to 50. So 25 would be the target.
So I'll follow up on that. Then we would be looking at trying to put gift baskets together for under $50 a piece, which might come across looking a little bit on the chintzy side. So I think if we were going to do this, I think we need to actually, you know, up our game and put something together that's actually meaningful, and you know, unfortunately, that would mean a little bit higher budget.
Comments, discussion? Mark and then Lauren? Did you guys want to? Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I would assume that a big part of that package would be information. So it's not just $50 worth of products from, I mean, because that, to somebody, that's nice, but our message is to get out who the county is, what's available in the county. So that wouldn't cost us a huge amount of money to do that. And that would be, to me, is the most important piece. The other parts of, you know, promoting some of the local businesses and whatever, we can do that. So I see John's point, you know, that $50 or whatever for that group isn't much, but if the major focus of our packaging is just to promote the county and explain the benefits of moving here and being here and what we have to offer, talking to physicians in the area over the years, that's, you know, there's been reasons they've come to the Lethbridge area, and it's not because they got, you know, some different back. It was because they researched the area and found it was available. So I think that's the key part, and the other pieces that we'd add to it, whatever that is, I'm sure your staff has got that all sorted out what that might look like. So however we proceed, I think it's important that we do this, though. I think it's important that we're part of this, and that we reach out to those students that, and hopefully even if 2% stay, we're getting something out of it. So
Thanks, Mark. Lauren?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I certainly see the value of this, and I definitely agree. It would be nice if we're going to give them something, it would be a local product. So would there be any possibility of sort of working a deal with some of the local people to, if we buy one, they give one, and then we could kind of cut it down a little bit? But I think the value is there to go ahead and do something for them.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Hickey. We have not contemplated reaching out to businesses at this point. We wanted to come here first, but I would assume that local business would be engaged, and certainly to Councillor Sayer's questions, I envision probably a letter from the Reeve welcoming students combined with some other information that would be included, you know, branded in some sort of complete package that would be put together. Yeah, to be determined, but certainly.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. This, you know, as we heard, there's others sponsoring it. They're going to get loaded up with a good variety of goodies. So to say that we need to make ours substantial, we're not going to out-compete, so let's do it on quality rather than quantity, and just make sure that there's some worthwhile in there. But I think, you know, we got a pretty good team. They'll figure out quite a bit for this money.
I mean, yeah, says honey and jerky and artisan products, you had me at honey and jerky, so. So, I mean, artisan stuff's cool too, but, go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could we maybe take a little different approach on this and I'd like to make a motion that we authorize a gift basket value of up to $100 per student registry. That way, that gives administration some flexibility to put some things together, and if we can do it a little bit better or a little bit cheaper with some donations. But, you know, when you start looking at you know, honey and jerky and artisan projects, I just don't think that we can even put anything together that's meaningful to put together a basket. I mean, just even the cost of the baskets themselves are gonna consume up most of that. So it would be, you know, there'd be a lot of tissue paper and some quote-unquote propaganda in there and not much else of anything. So I think, my personal opinion, I would like to move that we put a per basket cap on it of $100. So that gives us flexibility with the number of students.
Any discussion there? Go ahead, Mark.
I guess if it's for 1 year, but if, as Trevor's indicated, that it's gonna be 50, 60, you know, what's the cap on this gonna be? So, and again, my point was, it's not about the candies in the basket, it's about where they were made, the information around it, and promoting that, and promoting who we are and what we are. And we've got, like, our marketing team just presented. I mean, they're amazing. They come up with a lot of information around that. And the other piece is promote the companies with the county. So, but if it's a 1 year thing, yeah, I understand what you're saying, John, in terms of the cost. But maybe these businesses will donate. So anyway.
Go ahead, Candace.
I don't know if you remember the baskets that we handed out at the Christmas, or the employee recognition night.
Yep.
Those were all locally sourced, and I think they cost us like $55 a basket bag type situation. So it is doable. We just would have to find the right people to support that initiative, if that's the way we wanted to go, but they were about $55.
Okay. So to go back to you, John, yeah.
So we put a maximum of $100 on that. That gives administration some good latitude to put something together that's reasonable.
So John, could you read your motion, please?
Sure. I'd just like to move that council approve a donation of $100, up to $100 per gift basket from the council donation reserve to support the creation of a welcome package for new students for the Southern Alberta Medical Program. And further, the funds be used to purchase products from local businesses for inclusion in such packages with county promotional material. Well, that would be for this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
One time. Okay, John has made that motion for up to $100 per basket. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we're basically saying $2,500 if there's 25 students,
Up to
right?
$2,500, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any further discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That is carried. And thank you, Trevor. Thank you, John. Now we can move to correspondence.
Trevor, you said you weren't going to be long. You made it long.
We have 6 pieces of correspondence before us today. Start at the top. Number 1, on behalf of the Time Society, I'd like to sincerely thank the Sterling Wind Project Community Benefit Fund for supporting our 2026 father-daughter Paul and Coldell. Appreciate your contribution and the confidence it shows in the work we are doing to create positive, family-centered community events. Your support will directly help us provide a meaningful and accessible experience for local families while also creating opportunities for youth volunteers to be involved in the event. So that's your first piece of correspondence. Item 2, we have a letter from Sherry Rogerson. I will not read the entirety of the letter, but it is before you. Dear Mr. Campbell and members of County Council, I'm writing to express concern regarding increased traffic demands along 43rd Street North and to encourage Lethbridge County to work collaboratively with the City of Lethbridge to prioritize roadway expansion and infrastructure improvements within this rapidly developing corridor. As development continues to accelerate on both the county and city sides of 43rd Street North, this roadway has become increasingly important transportation connection for residents, businesses, and industrial activity. Industrial activity and agriculture and commercial transport moving between the county and the city of Lethbridge. She will also, Sherry has also noted she will also be sending this correspondence to Mayor and City Council for Lethbridge, as I believe this issue would greatly benefit from cooperative planning and shared infrastructure discussions between both municipalities. Thank you for your time and consideration. I appreciate the work the County Council continues to do to support responsible regional growth, and I hope this matter will receive thoughtful consideration in future infrastructure planning discussions. So I guess I would just say that obviously, yeah, this area is a part of the IDP that we have with the city, and this area, as Ms. Rogerson noted, is an area of rapid development right now between Frontier and Sharing, and it's exciting, but it also comes with some challenges around traffic. There are different responsibilities for each municipality in this. Part of that is the offsite levies that the city would levy and supporting their infrastructure. I don't know, Trevor, do you want to maybe speak to it a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. There is, of course, a levy that's specifically for upgrades to 43rd Street. So properties that develop on the county side are required to contribute to that. So there is a reserve actually that the county maintains for future upgrades to 43rd Street. So my suggestion would be that we certainly could draft a response to Ms. Rogerson probably on your behalf under your signature that just outlines the process, and then it is something that we can add to the planned IDP intermunicipal committee meeting in July with the city of Lethbridge, and make sure that's we can make sure that's added to the agenda.
Okay. Is that agreeable if we were to draft a letter? Okay. Thank you, Trevor. Item 3, stars. Thank you for your generation of stars. So just outlines the contribution that council has set through the budgeting process to stars in the amount of $20,240. Item 3, Alberta Municipal Affairs PERC extension. So before you have correspondence from Dan Williams, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, outlining recognizing the ongoing challenges unpaid oil and gas property taxes posed for municipalities. In response, the GOA partnered with RMA and municipal and industry stakeholders through the Property Tax Accountability Strategy PTAS working group to develop recommendations to address this issue. The final report was released on March 16th. As part of the considerations, I am pleased to announce the Provincial Education Requisition Credit, PERC, and the Designated Industrial Requisition Credit, DIRC, programs are approved for a 3-year extension through 2028. The extension aligns with the recommendation of the 12 PTAs report and will provide continued support to municipalities while PTAS recommendations are examined. Item 5, from the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. This is addressed to Councillor Slum. On behalf of our members in Lethbridge County, the CFIB is seeking your support to champion our local communities and entrepreneurial spirit by encouraging Albertans to shop local and support #Small Business Every Day this July. Small businesses keep showing up for their communities. In Alberta, 66 cents of every dollar spent at a local business stays in the community, compared to only 11 cents when spent at a multinational and only 8 cents at an online giant. There's a contest and further information included in this correspondence. Number 6, City of Lethbridge. Dear Rick Campbell, in anticipation of your potential attendance or participation in the 2026 Swoop Up Days Parade in Lethbridge this August, I am pleased to invite you to a post-parade gathering for elected officials at Lethbridge City Hall. Please join us for an informal reception on Tuesday, August 18th from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. You're welcome to drop in at your convenience. The Mayor's Community Barbecue will be held outdoors in front of City Hall, which is also in front of Lethbridge County's Administration Building, along with access to dedicated indoor VIP hospitality suite in the St. Laurent Room on the 2nd floor of City Hall. In addition to the barbecue, a selection of light lunch options will be available inside. There's the opportunity to RSVP. I would assume, Candace, that members of council that are participating and available will attend. So we will follow up with you on that for an RSVP.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Is there anything else on correspondence? If not, we can move into our county council and committee updates. We'll start in Division 1 with Councillor Lauren Hickey. Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So on May the 1st, I had the Green Acres Service Award recognition night. So they have a couple of employees who have now been there for 40 years and are close to retirement, but that's remarkable in that business to have been around for 40 years. On May the 7th, we had County Council. May the 7th to the 9th, we had the Green Acres Board Retreat. The 20th was Green Acres Finance and Executive. 21st was County Council meeting. 22nd was the Chinook Equipment grand opening. That was well attended, actually, and a good day. May the 27th, I had the Green Acres Board meeting. And I did go to the exhibitions announcement for Whoop Up Days, but I can't remember what day that was. 6th? Oh, okay. Thanks.
Division 2, 7th, we have County Council. 8th, Friends of Chinook Arch Casino. Friends of Chinook Arch Society Casino. Thank you to my fast traveling wife for helping me for that and volunteering for the Chinook Arch Society. 13th, Railroad Infrastructure Committee meeting. 13th as well, meeting with the administration regarding developments in infrastructure. That was a precursor to the meeting I had on the 15th with MLA Newdorf regarding a potential development within the county and how we could work with our neighboring municipalities in the province around some restraints around transportation infrastructure. Thanks to Minister Newdorf for that opportunity. The 20th, EDL board meeting. The 21st, Lethbridge County Council meeting. 22nd, several of us attended the Chinook Equipment grand opening. Congratulations to the Davis family and everyone that was a part of that. 23rd, Pitcher Butte High School graduation ceremony. Had a very large class this year, which is great to see that graduation class been growing consecutively every year. They do a great job out there celebrating their grads, so congratulations to them. And on the 28th, did some brief media around the NRED grant, which we participated in with the town of Nobleford. Division 3, Councillor Sayers.
May 5th was our Ag Service Board meeting. May 6th, Whoop Up Days media launch. That was well attended, and it was good to get together with a lot of the past presidents. May 6th, FCSS Board meeting. The 7th was Lethbridge County Council meeting. 13th was the Link Pathway meeting. Project's still moving along. Their focus right now seems to be moving from starting in the west end and moving east as opposed to carrying on from where the tunnel is or the underpass. Meeting with the CAO on the 14th, the 21st Chinook County Council meeting, and the 22nd was the Chinook Equipment grand opening.
Thank you, Mark. Division 4, Deputy Reed Curvis. John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On May 5th, I had my weekly meeting with Community Futures Executive Director. May 7th, we had our regular council meeting. May 12th, another meeting with the Executive Director for Community Futures. May 13th, we had a meeting with Community Futures Network of Alberta. That was a virtual meeting. On May 19th, I met again with our Community Futures Executive Director. May 20th, we had a Regional Waste Commission branding workshop. 21st, we had our regular council meeting, and on the 27th of May, we had our Community Futures monthly board meeting.
Thank you, John. Division 5, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May 20, Regional Waste Commission branding workshop. May 21st, Lethbridge County Council meeting. May 27th, Chinook Arch Planning and Facilities Committee meeting.
Thank you, Kevin. Division 6, Councillor Van Essen. Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May 5th, ASB meeting. May 7th, the County Council. May 21st, County Council. And the 22nd, the Chinook grand opening.
Thank you, Eric. Division 7, Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman there. On May 5th, ASB meeting. 7th, we had the Lethbridge County Council meeting. 21st, council meeting also, and May 22nd, the Chinook Equipment grand opening there.
Thank you, Tony. Anything else for our council and committee updates? If not, We added one piece of new business under J. John, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Let me start this by saying this is wholly and solely a me problem. But in looking at completing my elected officials education program, there is one course that I need that is only being offered for the next 2 to 3 years in the foreseeable future, according to EOEP, that is at Alberta municipalities. So I talked to Tori about it, and he suggested that it might be time that we actually send a couple of people to Alberta municipalities. Obviously, I'd like to be one of those so that I could get this one course out of my, there's 2 that I need, but the second one is being offered 2 or 3 times, so it's, the availability of that is quite easy, but the Alberta municipalities one, it's the only time they seem to be offering it. So I guess what I'm proposing is that we look at sending a contingent of a couple of people to Alberta municipalities for their fall convention this year. Alternatively to that, I would like permission just to be able to go up for the day and take the course. But I think that we could probably drive some value given, with our smaller urbans in the area of trying to keep some of the lines of communication open and spinning it off where we can maybe drive a little bit more value than me running up to take a course.
Go ahead, Candace.
If we are sending people, I would like to know today, registration is already open and 5 out of the 6 hotels are already full. So if we want rooms with you not staying at the Comfort Inn, which I would prefer nobody stay there, we need to book today.
Okay.
Please.
When is that?
September 23rd to the 25th.
Where's it at?
I think it's at Edmonton, I think, at the, it's at the convention center, isn't it, Candace?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'd open up to conversation. I think to John's point, like, I do see value in, being with the Urbans. I think it's been 4 years since we went, or 3, Cole's here, so 3 years. We went to the fall AM, and I think there definitely was value. I don't think there's value in doing it every year for sure, but I think it's where our CAO is today. He's at the LGAA, which is meeting with those and spending time with those leaders that are of the urban. So I do see value in that, and I appreciate, if that is the will of council, I think there is value in sending a counselor, or if there is more appetite than that, I do think there's value in doing that. If not, and it's something that you feel passionately about, John, is doing those courses, and I would support you just going up, but I would open up to council for what your thoughts and feelings are. Not all at once, though. Go ahead, Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the part of, every couple of years that there's some merit in it, and being that we can get dual purpose out of this, finish some courses, I'd support that John attend AM, and I would think if there's anyone else, I'd look at, supporting 2 people attending. Anyway, supportive of the idea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would support 2 members going, one just to babysit Councillor Kerbis, but, I would be in favor of that, but it can't be me. I've done my term, so of babysitting. Thanks.
Would there be anyone else interested in attending Alberta municipalities? I probably would remove myself as well, just given the time of year. Is there anyone else that would have interest in going AM? Because if not, we can just make the motion for one then. One? Okay. Would you agree to make that, or would you make that, or? Authorize?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move to send John to the Alberta Munis thing in September 23rd to 25th.
Very good discussion. Not all questions in favor? Opposed?
John, which course is it that you?
I got a book. I can't
Okay.
It's full. Do we have anything else on the public portion of our agenda? Because I've been crushing it today. If there's nothing further, I would entertain a motion to enter a closed session. Tony. Tony's moved to enter a closed session at 11:30 this morning. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor?
Tractor down. Yes.
Go down to Coyote Flats, and Kaylin is doing her workshop on the residential strategy, correct? Okay. So John, we've come out of closed at 12:05. Any discussion? Question on the favor? That carries. Coming out of our closed session, regarding item 1, contracted services, ATIA Section 30, disclosure harmful to economic and other interests of a public body. We have 2 motions emanating. Start with John for the first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that council move a motion to direct administration to issue notice to the Old Man River Regional Services Commission terminating the provision of all services to Lethbridge County, including services associated with the 1995 Planning Commission Agreement, the 2021 Agreement for Regional Assessment Review Services, and the 2019 Agreement for Chinook Intermunicipal Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, all is to be effective December 31st, 2026.
Thank you, John. Is there any discussion? John has moved that council direct administration to issue notice to the Old Man River Regional Services Commission terminating the provision of all services to Lethbridge County, including services associated with the 1995 Planning Commission Agreement, the 2021 Agreement for Regional Assessment Review Services, and the 2019 Agreement for Chinook Intermunicipal Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, effective December 31st, 2026. No further discussion. Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That carries. And the second motion, Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to that Lethbridge County enter into the service provider contract.
Thank you, Eric. Is there any further discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Is there anything else for our meeting today? Oh. Eric has moved to adjourn at 12:07 this afternoon. Thank you very much, everyone.